Story 1. Let me give you some background first. I've been with my fiancée for 5 years. We got engaged last Christmas, and I've been planning this wedding for months. It's not a huge affair, just close family and friends, but it means everything to me. My mom passed away 3 years ago, and this dress was supposed to be my way of honoring her memory. She always talked about how she wanted to help me pick out my wedding dress someday. I saved up for 8 months to afford this dress. It's not designer or anything fancy, but it's perfect for me. It's a simple aligned dress with delicate lace sleeves and tiny pearl buttons down the back. The moment I saw it, I knew it was the one. I put down a deposit 6 months ago and have been making payments ever since. The bridal shop is small and family-owned. The owner is this sweet older woman who's been doing alterations for 30 years. She knows every bride's story and remembers exactly what each dress means to them. When I told her about my mom, she got tears in her eyes and promised to make sure everything was perfect. So there I was, standing in the fitting room for my final appointment. The dress fit like a glove after all the alterations. I was admiring myself in the mirror, thinking about how proud my mom would be, when I heard shouting from the front of the shop. "Karen, where is she? I need to see the owner right now." The shop owner rushed out to see what was happening. I could hear everything through the thin walls. Shop owner: "Ma'am, please calm down. How can I help you?" "Karen, my daughter is getting married tomorrow, and she needs a dress. I saw the one in your window display, but you said it's not for sale. That's ridiculous. I'm willing to pay whatever it takes." Shop owner: "I'm sorry, but that dress is already sold. It belongs to another bride who's here for her final fitting." Karen: "Well, where is she? I need to talk to her. My daughter's wedding is more important." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I quickly slipped on my robe over the dress and stepped out of the fitting room. "Me, excuse me, but I think you're talking about my dress." Karen spun around and looked me up and down like I was something she'd stepped in. "Karen, you're just a kid. My daughter is 28 and getting married to a lawyer. She deserves a proper dress, not some teenager playing dress up." "Me, I'm 25, and I've been paying for this dress for 6 months. My wedding is in 2 weeks." Karen: "2 weeks? That's plenty of time to find something else. My daughter's wedding is tomorrow. She needs it more." Shop owner: "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This young lady has an appointment, and the dress is hers." Karen: "I'm not leaving without that dress. How much did she pay?" "I'll pay double." Me: "It's not for sale. This dress means everything to me." Karen: "Everything to you? You don't even look like you can afford it. I bet your parents are paying for it." That hit me hard. I've been working 2 jobs to pay for this wedding since my dad lost his job last year. Me: "Actually, I've been saving every penny I earned to pay for this myself. And even if my parents were helping, that's none of your business." Karen: "Don't you dare talk to me like that. I'm a customer here." Shop owner: "No, ma'am, you're not. You don't have an appointment, and you're disturbing my actual customer. Please leave." Karen: "Fine. If you won't sell it to me, I'll just take it." Before anyone could react, she pushed past me and tried to grab the dress through my robe. I stepped back, but she was stronger than I expected. Karen: "Take it off right now." Me: "Are you insane? Get away from me." She actually started pulling at my robe, trying to get to the dress underneath. I was holding on to the robe with both hands when she grabbed the dress directly and yanked as hard as she could. The sound of ripping fabric filled the room. I watched in horror as the delicate lace sleeve tore completely off in her hands. 3 of the pearl buttons scattered across the floor. I just stood there staring at the ruined dress, unable to speak. 6 months of saving, all the alterations, all the dreams I had about walking down the aisle in my perfect dress gone. Shop owner: "That's it. I'm calling the police." Karen: "You can't prove I did anything. The dress was already damaged." Me: "Are you kidding me? You just ripped my wedding dress in front of witnesses." Karen: "It's just a dress. You can get another one." That's when I lost it. I started crying, not just from anger, but from the sheer disbelief that someone could be so cruel. Me, just a dress. This dress represents months of saving and planning. My wedding is in 2 weeks. Do you have any idea what you've done? Karen, stop being so dramatic. It's not like it was expensive. The police arrived within 10 minutes. By then, Karen had changed her tune completely. Karen, "Officer, I was just trying to buy a dress for my daughter's wedding. This girl is being unreasonable." "Officer, ma'am, according to the shop owner, you physically assaulted this young woman and destroyed her property." Karen, "I barely touched her. The shop owner had security cameras, and they showed everything." Karen trying to grab the dress off me, the struggle, the ripping sound as the sleeve tore off. "Officer, ma'am, you're under arrest for assault and destruction of property." Karen, "This is ridiculous. It's just a stupid dress." Even as they handcuffed her, she kept insisting that her daughter deserved the dress more than I did. The police report was filed, and my family decided to take Karen to civil court. Our lawyer said we had a strong case since everything was caught on camera. The court date was 3 days before my wedding. Karen showed up with a lawyer, still claiming she did nothing wrong. Karen's lawyer, "Your Honor, my client was merely trying to purchase a dress for her daughter's wedding." Our lawyer, "Your Honor, the defendant physically assaulted my client and destroyed property worth $800. She had no right to touch the dress or my client." The judge watched the security footage. Karen's face went white when she saw herself on screen yanking at the dress. "Judge, ma'am, your behavior was completely unacceptable. You have no right to put your hands on another person or their property, regardless of your circumstances." Karen, "But Judge, my daughter needed a dress." "Judge, that's not an excuse for assault. I'm ordering you to pay for the full cost of the dress, alterations, and emotional distress. The total comes to $1,200. Karen, $1,200. That's insane. Judge, you should have thought of that before you destroyed someone's wedding dress. The shop owner managed to repair most of the damage, but I had to pay extra for rush alterations. Karen was also ordered to pay for those costs. In the end, I got my dress back, better than before. The shop owner added extra pearl buttons and reinforced all the seams. She said it was the least she could do after what I went through. My wedding was beautiful. When I walked down the aisle in that dress, I thought about how my mom would have been so proud. Not just of how I looked, but of how I stood up for myself when someone tried to take something that was mine. Karen never apologized. Even after the judge's ruling, she muttered something about how unfair it all was. I heard from the shop owner that she tried to dispute the payment, but the court wouldn't budge. Some people really think the world revolves around them. I just can't understand how someone could be so selfish and cruel to a complete stranger. But at least justice was served, and I got my happy ending. Story 2. My wife and I had been planning this camping trip for months. We both work demanding jobs. She's a nurse who just finished a brutal stretch of double shifts, and I'm a teacher who'd been dealing with end-of-semester stress. Our 2 kids, aged 8 and 10, had been cooped up inside all winter and were practically bouncing off the walls with excitement about finally getting outdoors. We'd specifically chosen this particular campsite because it was known for being quiet and family-friendly. I'd made the reservation 3 months in advance, paying the full fee up front and even calling the park office twice to confirm everything was set. The kids had been counting down the days on their calendar, and we'd spent weeks preparing, buying new sleeping bags, planning meals, and organizing our gear. The drive to the campground took 4 hours, with the kids asking, "Are we there yet?" every 15 minutes. When we finally pulled into the park, we were all exhausted but excited. I had the reservation confirmation printed out and ready, along with a map showing our designated spot, site number 47. But as we drove up to our campsite, my heart sank. There were already people there, not just people, a whole party. Loud music was blasting from a portable speaker. There were at least 8 adults drinking beer around a massive barbecue setup, and they'd clearly been there for a while based on all the gear scattered around. I parked our car and got out, hoping this was just a misunderstanding. Maybe they were using our site temporarily and would move once I explained. The kids stayed in the car while my wife and I approached the group. Excuse me, I think there might be some confusion. This is campsite 47, and we have a reservation for it. The woman who seemed to be leading the group turned around. She was probably in her 40s, with bleached blonde hair and an attitude that I could sense immediately. Karen. Yeah, so, we're already here. First come, first serve. Actually, that's not how it works. This is a reserved site. Here's my confirmation. I showed her the printed reservation, but she barely glanced at it. Karen, I don't care about your little piece of paper. We've been setting up for 2 hours. You can find somewhere else. My wife stepped forward, trying to keep things calm. Wife, look, we drove 4 hours to get here with our kids. We paid for this site in advance. Surely you can understand our situation. Karen, not my problem. You should have gotten here earlier if you wanted it so badly. One of the men in her group, clearly drunk, chimed in. Drunk guy? Yeah, possession is 9/10 of the law or whatever. I felt my patience wearing thin, but I tried to stay reasonable. I could see my kids watching from the car, and I didn't want to create a scene in front of them. This isn't about possession. This is about a legal reservation that I paid for. The park has a system for a reason. Karen, well, your system is stupid. We're not moving. Go cry to the park rangers if you want, but we're staying right here. That's exactly what I did. I walked back to our car and drove to the ranger station, leaving my wife to keep an eye on our site. The kids were confused and starting to get upset. Daughter, Dad, why can't we set up our tent? Don't worry, sweetie. We're gonna get this sorted out. At the ranger station, I explained the situation to the ranger on duty. He was a middle-aged guy who looked like he'd dealt with this kind of thing before. Ranger, this happens more than you'd think. Some people just don't understand how reservations work. Let me come out there with you and handle this. We drove back to the campsite together, and I could see that Karen's group had actually expanded. More people had arrived, and they were getting louder and more obnoxious by the minute. The ranger got out of his vehicle and walked straight to Karen. Ranger, ma'am, I understand you're currently occupying reserved Site 47. I'm going to need you to pack up and move to an unreserved area. Karen, who are you supposed to be? Ranger, I'm Ranger Johnson. This is my park, and this family has a valid reservation for this site. You need to move your party. Karen, we're not moving anywhere. This is public land. We have just as much right to be here as anyone else. Ranger, actually, you don't. This is a reserved site, and camping without a proper reservation is a violation of park regulations. I'm giving you 30 minutes to pack up and relocate. Karen, you can't make us leave. This is America. The ranger's tone got more serious. Ranger, ma'am, I'm trying to handle this civilly. You can either move voluntarily to an unreserved area, or I can issue you a citation and have you escorted off the property entirely. Karen, go ahead and try. I know my rights. What happened next was beautiful. The ranger calmly walked back to his vehicle and radioed for backup. Within 20 minutes, 2 more rangers arrived, along with a park police officer. The lead ranger approached Karen again. Ranger, ma'am, you've been given multiple opportunities to relocate voluntarily. Since you've refused, I'm now issuing you a citation for unauthorized camping and disturbing the peace. Karen, this is harassment. I want to speak to your supervisor. Ranger, I am the supervisor for this section. You're also being issued a citation for public intoxication and failure to comply with lawful orders. The whole situation escalated quickly from there. Karen became increasingly belligerent, screaming about her rights and threatening to sue everyone involved. Her drunk friends started getting aggressive too, which prompted the park police officer to call for additional backup. Within an hour, Karen had been arrested for disorderly conduct, and her entire group was being escorted off the property. But the rangers weren't done. "Ranger, ma'am, due to your behavior today and your complete disregard for park regulations, you're being issued a 2-year ban from all national parks in this region." "Karen, you can't do that." "Ranger, actually, I can and I am. Your behavior today demonstrates a pattern of disrespect for public property and other park visitors. This ban goes into effect immediately." As they were loading Karen into the police car, she was still screaming about lawsuits and rights and how this was all unfair. Her friends packed up their stuff and left, grumbling but clearly not wanting to deal with any more legal trouble. After they were gone, the ranger came over to apologize for the delay. "Ranger, I'm really sorry you had to deal with that on your family vacation. Some people just don't understand that rules apply to everyone." We finally got to set up our campsite as the sun was starting to set. The kids were troopers about the whole thing, and we ended up having an amazing week. The campsite was perfect quiet, clean, and exactly what we'd hoped for. The best part? A few days into our trip, we ran into Ranger Johnson again during one of our hikes. "Ranger, how's your stay going?" "Me, perfect, thanks to you handling that situation." "Ranger, glad to hear it. Oh, and just so you know, that woman tried to appeal her ban through the Park Service. Not only was it denied, but her behavior during the appeal process got her banned from all national parks nationwide. Some people never learn. We spent the rest of our vacation enjoying the peace and quiet that we'd paid for and deserved. The kids had a blast hiking, fishing, and roasting marshmallows around our properly reserved campfire. Sometimes the system actually works exactly like it's supposed to. Story 3. I've been working at the public library for about 3 years now. It's usually a peaceful job, helping people find books, organizing events for kids, and keeping the place running smoothly. I love seeing children discover new stories and watching their faces light up when they find something they're excited about. That's why what happened last Tuesday made me so angry. Let me give you some background first. Our library has always been a safe space for everyone in the community. We get all kinds of people, students doing homework, elderly folks reading newspapers, parents with toddlers, and kids exploring on their own. One of our regulars is this sweet 10-year-old boy who comes in every week with his mom. He's nonverbal and on the autism spectrum, but he absolutely loves books. His mom told me he finds the library calming, and reading helps him focus. Sometimes he makes quiet humming sounds or rocks gently in his chair. While he reads, it's called stimming, and it helps him process information. He never bothers anyone, and most people don't even notice. That Tuesday started like any other day. The boy was sitting in his usual spot in the children's section, completely absorbed in a picture book about dinosaurs. He was making his usual soft humming sounds and occasionally flapping his hands when he got excited about something in the book. It was barely audible unless you were standing right next to him. Then this woman walked in. I'd never seen her before, but she had that look, you know the one. The kind of person who thinks the world revolves around them. She was dressed in expensive clothes and kept checking her phone every few seconds. She marched over to the children's section and plopped down at a table with her laptop. Within 5 minutes, she was storming over to my desk. "Karen, excuse me, but that child over there is being extremely disruptive. He keeps making weird noises and moving around. I'm trying to work here, and I demand you do something about it." "Me, ma'am, he's just reading quietly. He's not disturbing anyone else, and this is the children's section where some noise is expected." "Karen, noise is expected. This is a library. It's supposed to be silent. That boy is clearly not normal, and he shouldn't be allowed here if he can't behave properly." I felt my blood pressure rising, but I kept my voice calm and professional. "Me, the young man is reading peacefully and has every right to be here. He's not breaking any rules or truly disturbing other patrons. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable in our quiet study area upstairs." "Karen, Are you seriously suggesting I should move because of that freak? Absolutely not. I was here first, and I demand you remove him immediately." At this point, other people in the library were starting to stare. The boy's mother, who had been browsing in the adult section, noticed the commotion and came over. "Mother, is there a problem here?" Karen: "Yes, there's a huge problem. Your son is being a nuisance, and this librarian refuses to kick him out. He's making disgusting noises and flailing around like a maniac. This is a public library, not a daycare for special needs kids." The mother's face went pale, then red with anger, but she maintained her composure better than I would have. "Mother, my son has autism. He's stimming, which is a completely normal behavior that helps him self-regulate. He's not disturbing anyone, and he has every right to be here." Karen: "I don't care what's wrong with him. He's ruining my work environment, and I pay taxes that fund this place. Either you control your child, or I'm calling the police and my lawyer. I'll sue this library system for discrimination against normal people who just want to use the facilities properly." Mother: "Ma'am, I am a lawyer. Specifically, I specialize in civil rights and disability advocacy. What you're describing isn't discrimination against you. What you're doing right now is harassment of a disabled child, which is actually illegal." Karen's face went white, but she wasn't backing down. "Karen, I don't believe you. You're just making excuses for your badly behaved kid. I'm recording this whole conversation for evidence, and I'm going to post it online so everyone can see how this library lets disruptive children run wild." She pulled out her phone and started recording, speaking loudly into it. "Karen, this is absolutely ridiculous. This library is letting a screaming, violent child terrorize other patrons, and they refuse to do anything about it. Look at him over there, making all that noise." The irony was incredible. The boy was still sitting quietly, reading his book and occasionally humming softly. Meanwhile, Karen was literally shouting and causing an actual disturbance. Other parents with children were staring at her in disgust. "Mother, please, continue recording. I'd like this documented too." The mother pulled out her own phone and started filming. "Mother, for the record, I'm an attorney with Morrison & Associates, specializing in disability rights. This woman is harassing my autistic son for engaging in normal stimming behavior while reading quietly in a public library. She's demanded his removal based solely on his disability and has used derogatory language to describe him. Karen, he's not disabled, he's just poorly trained, and I have every right to a peaceful environment. Mother, actually, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, public accommodations like libraries are required to provide equal access to individuals with disabilities. Stimming is a protected behavior, and your demands constitute disability-based harassment. I decided to step in before things escalated further. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to lower your voice. You're creating a disturbance and making other patrons uncomfortable. The young man has done nothing wrong, but your behavior is disruptive and inappropriate. Karen, this is outrageous. I'm calling corporate. I'm calling the mayor. I'm calling everyone. You'll all be sorry when I'm done with you." She stormed out, still recording and ranting about lawsuits and discrimination. The next day, I found out exactly who the boy's mother was. She wasn't just any civil rights lawyer, she was Sarah Morrison, one of the most respected disability rights attorneys in the state. She'd won several high-profile cases against businesses and institutions that discriminated against people with disabilities. 3 days later, Karen's video went viral, but not in the way she expected. The caption reads something like, "Discriminatory library allows disruptive special needs child to terrorize other patrons." But everyone watching could see that the boy was sitting quietly, while Karen was the one screaming and being disruptive. The comments section was brutal. The mother's video also went viral, with proper context about what was actually happening. News outlets picked up the story, and suddenly everyone was talking about library accessibility and the harassment of disabled children. Karen tried to delete her video, but it was too late. Screenshots and reposts were everywhere. People identified her from the video and started leaving reviews on her business page. Turns out she owned a small boutique, and customers were not happy about her behavior. The library system's board of directors held an emergency meeting and decided to ban Karen from all branches indefinitely. They also implemented new training for staff about supporting patrons with disabilities and handling harassment situations. Karen tried to sue the library system, but her case was thrown out immediately. The judge noted that her own video evidence showed her harassing a disabled child and creating a public disturbance. The mother's law firm sent Karen a cease and desist letter, and she quietly dropped all her threats of legal action. The boy still comes to the library every week, and now other staff members make sure to check on him and his mom when they visit. We've also started hosting sensory-friendly story times for children with autism and other developmental differences. Sometimes I see Karen's boutique when I drive through that part of town. There's always a "for lease" sign in the window now. I guess the internet never forgets, and neither do parents who care about treating all children with respect. Story 4. I work as a night shift security guard at a warehouse, which means I'm usually asleep during the day when most deliveries happen. It's not ideal, but the pay is decent, and it lets me pursue my hobby of collecting vintage gaming consoles. I'd been saving up for months to pre-order this limited edition console that was supposed to be a modern remake of a classic system from the 90s. Only a few thousand units were made worldwide, and I managed to snag one during the 5-minute window they were available online. The package was supposed to arrive on a Tuesday. I'd specifically requested the delivery for that day because it was my day off, and I wanted to be home to receive it personally. These things were selling for triple the retail price on resale sites, so I wasn't taking any chances. I live in a small apartment complex with about 20 units. Most of my neighbors are pretty decent people. We say hello in the hallways, help each other with groceries sometimes, that sort of thing. But there's this one woman who lives 3 doors down from me who's always been a problem. She's the type who complains about everything. The music is too loud. People park in her preferred spot. The hallway lights are too bright. The property manager has gotten so many complaints about her that he's started ignoring her calls. On Tuesday morning, I was waiting by my window watching for the delivery truck. I saw it pull up around 10 a.m., and the driver got out with a package that looked exactly like what I was expecting. I watched him walk up to the building and disappear into the stairwell. A few minutes later, I heard footsteps in the hallway, but no knock on my door. I waited another 10 minutes, then opened my door to check. Nothing. I went downstairs to the mailboxes thinking maybe it was too big for delivery upstairs, but there was nothing there either. I called the shipping company, and they confirmed it had been delivered and signed for. That's when I decided to check the security cameras. Our building has cameras in the hallways and lobby, and as the overnight security guard at my job, I knew how to access and review footage. The property manager had given me permission to check the cameras before when my bike was stolen from the storage area. What I saw made my blood boil. The delivery driver had indeed delivered my package right to my door. About 30 minutes later, Karen came out of her apartment, looked around, then walked straight to my door and picked up my package. She took it back to her apartment like it was the most normal thing in the world. I was furious, but I wanted to give her a chance to explain herself before escalating things. Maybe there was some misunderstanding. I knocked on her door that afternoon. Hey, I think there might have been a mix-up with a delivery today. Did you happen to receive a package that wasn't meant for you? Karen, I don't know what you're talking about. The delivery company says my package was delivered this morning, but I can't find it anywhere. I was wondering if maybe it got delivered to the wrong door by mistake. Karen, well, I did receive a package today, but it was delivered to my door, so it's obviously mine. Could you check the label? My name should be on it if it's mine. Karen, I don't need to check anything. If it was delivered to my door, it belongs to me. That's how mail delivery works. I could tell this wasn't going anywhere, so I decided to be more direct. I have security footage of you taking a package from my door. I'd really appreciate it if you could just give me my package back." Her whole demeanor changed. She got this defensive, angry look on her face. "Karen, how dare you accuse me of stealing? I would never take something that doesn't belong to me. You're harassing me, and I'm going to call the police if you don't leave me alone right now." "I'm not trying to harass you. I just want my package back. It's a limited edition gaming console that I pre-ordered months ago." "Karen, I don't care what you think you ordered. The package was delivered to my door, which means it's mine. Now get away from my door before I call the police." She slammed the door in my face. I stood there for a moment, completely shocked by her attitude. I tried to handle this nicely, but she was being completely unreasonable. I went back to my apartment and made copies of the security footage. Then I called the non-emergency police line to report the theft. I figured they'd sort this out quickly once they saw the video evidence. 2 officers showed up about an hour later. I explained the situation and showed them the footage on my laptop. They agreed it was pretty clear-cut theft and went to talk to Karen. I could hear the conversation through the thin walls. "Officer 1, ma'am, we're here about a report of a stolen package. Your neighbor says you took a package that was delivered to his door." "Karen, that's absolutely ridiculous. I would never steal anything. He's been harassing me all day, banging on my door and making threats. I want to file a complaint against him." "Officer 2, we have security footage that shows you taking a package from his doorstep. Would you like to explain that?" "Karen, that package was delivered to my door by mistake. I was just moving it to where it belonged. He's lying about everything because he's trying to get me in trouble." "Officer 1, the footage shows the package being delivered to his door, not yours, and it shows you taking it back to your apartment, not to his." "Karen, the camera angle must be confusing. I live in this building, and I know which door is mine. If you believe him over me, you're not doing your job properly." "Officer 2, ma'am, we're going to need you to return the package. We have clear evidence that it doesn't belong to you." "Karen, I don't have any package. He's making this whole thing up. This is harassment, and I want him arrested." The officers came back to my apartment and asked me to email them the footage. They said they'd be back with a warrant if Karen didn't cooperate. "Officer 1, we're going to give her one more chance to return the package voluntarily. If she doesn't, we'll be back tomorrow with a search warrant." "Officer 2, in the meantime, document everything. Keep copies of your purchase receipt, the delivery confirmation, and the security footage." The next morning, I heard loud voices in the hallway. I looked through my peephole and saw the 2 officers from yesterday, plus 2 more, standing outside Karen's door with paperwork. "Officer 1, ma'am, we have a search warrant for your apartment. We're looking for a package containing a gaming console that was reported stolen." "Karen, this is ridiculous. I'm being targeted because of my race and gender. This is discrimination, and I'm going to sue all of you." "Officer 2, ma'am, please step aside so we can execute this warrant." It took them about 10 minutes to find my package. It was still in the original shipping box, but she'd opened it and even started setting up the console. They brought it to my door and asked me to verify it was mine. "Me? Yes, that's definitely it. You can see my name on the shipping label, and here's my receipt showing I ordered it." Karen was screaming in the hallway now. "Karen, he planted that there. This is a setup. I'm innocent, and you're all corrupt cops protecting a criminal." "Officer 1, ma'am, you're under arrest for petty theft. You have the right to remain silent." As they were putting handcuffs on her, she kept screaming about how unfair everything was and how she was going to sue everyone involved. The other neighbors had started coming out of their apartments to see what was happening. The property manager showed up just as they were taking her to the police car. He'd gotten calls from multiple tenants about the disturbance. "Property manager, what's going on here?" I explained the whole situation to him while the officers finished their paperwork. He shook his head and looked tired. "Property manager, This is the final straw with her. She's been nothing but trouble since she moved in. I'm starting eviction proceedings tomorrow. Officer 2. She's being charged with petty theft. There will be a court date, and she'll probably get probation and have to pay restitution. Property Manager. I don't care about probation. I want her out of my building. She's been harassing other tenants for months, and now she's stealing packages. I'm done dealing with her. Karen ended up pleading guilty to avoid jail time, but she got 6 months probation and had to pay a fine. The property manager followed through on the eviction, and she was out of the building within 30 days. The best part was that she tried to fight the eviction in court, claiming she was being discriminated against. But when the judge saw the security footage and heard about her theft conviction, he upheld the eviction immediately. I still see her occasionally around the neighborhood, but she avoids eye contact and crosses the street when she sees me coming. The gaming console works perfectly, by the way, and I've gotten hundreds of hours of enjoyment out of it. The whole experience taught me that some people will lie and manipulate even when there's clear evidence against them. Karen never once admitted she was wrong or apologized for taking my package. Even when caught red-handed, she insisted she was the victim. My neighbors have been much friendlier since the incident. I think everyone was tired of dealing with her complaints and drama, but nobody wanted to be the one to confront her. Now that she's gone, the building feels much more peaceful. I've also upgraded my delivery preferences to require a signature for any valuable packages. I learned that even when you think you're being careful, there are people out there who will take advantage if given the opportunity. The property manager thanked me for providing the footage and said he's considering installing additional security cameras because of this incident. He said it's not the first time he's had to deal with package theft, but it's the first time he's had such clear evidence of who did it. As for the gaming console, it's everything I hoped it would be. Sometimes I play it and remember the whole ordeal, but mostly I just enjoy having something I worked hard to save for and almost lost to someone's sense of entitlement.